Yesterday, we had a nugget of information dropped on the Division community via Reddit, and we got our first look at a Division-esque survival spinoff that shows real potential. So today, I want to take a deeper look at both of these topics, including the math and my impressions of what is clearly the best game mode to ever grace the Division franchise and was sorely missed when the Division 2 launched. And I will answer viewer questions from my last upload. But before we begin the video, if you haven't yet smashed that sub button for intensive Division content, please do so, and don't forget to ring the bell to never miss a future upload notification from my YouTube channel. You can also really help out the channel by watching this entire video, rating and sharing the video, and of course, leaving your feedback in the comment section below. What's going on, everybody? It's LtBuzzLitebeer, and as always, I hope you are all doing well out there and staying safe. Well, as I mentioned in that intro, we had several big info drops hit the community yesterday. One directly impacts the Division 2, and one could indirectly affect the player base, especially those of you that loved survival from the original Division game. Also, I would like to sincerely thank everyone that stopped by yesterday's Division 2 stream over on Twitch. I mean, the support was insane, and I think my bot was literally worn out by the end of the stream after all those sound alerts. I'll leave a link in the video description below and mention it towards the end of this video, but again, thank you so much for all that support. Alrighty, so topic number one for today has to do with the Division 2, and it comes to us via Reddit. Now, as you all know, I tweeted at the Division game on Tuesday of this week, inquiring about the next State of the Game date, and got a response that included what was incoming for Title Update 12.1, which will go live next week on February 2nd. Included in that response was the Resident Evil apparel event, the optimization cost being adjusted, and of course 4K 60 FPS support for next-gen consoles. Well, yesterday we found out a huge portion of that update as Johan responded on Reddit to the question of how much the optimization station cost would be adjusted, and he simply answered with 75% reduction. Now, for those of you that have attempted to use the optimization station and have seen just how insanely high those optimization costs are in terms of materials needed, a 75% reduction is substantial. And if anything, it really caught the community off guard. So for comparison, let me cut to a bit of footage of me engaging with the current optimization station. And to optimize the critical hit damage on this GS body armor would require 111 chest weave materials, 63 field recon data, 30 black tusk tactical assessment, and 26 shade recal. And all of this would take my critical hit damage from 9.6 to 10.2%, a gain of just 0.6% for all those materials. Now, going off that 75% reduction and applying it across the board, here are the adjusted totals for each material: 28, 16, 8, and 7. And there's some internal roundings going on in there, but you get the rough idea. Now, if this is truly the way that 75% reduction is being applied, then here is the math. And I say this as it could be done on an average as well, meaning that the total pre-cost of 230 total materials could have that 75% reduction applied and then spread it into their respective categories. This means that the internal reductions for each category could be different, but the net result of a 75% reduction across the board would be shown. We don't know at this point, but either way they decide to apply the reduction, it will be substantial. So here are my thoughts on this massive, no pun intended, reduction. Now, I have been posting my distaste for the current system and how many materials it requires ever since the PTS was live. But I have never openly discussed an actual percentage of reduction that I would recommend. I mean, honestly, I was thinking a 30 to 40% maximum change would have done the job to keep the elements of the grind alive, but not scare players away from ever using the optimization bench. In the back of my mind, 50% was the end of the world. And so, like many of you, I am floored at the 75% reduction coming next week. Now, my second thought about this change, and I want to put out this disclaimer right now that I have no prior knowledge of this at all, this is purely speculation, is that for year 3, we may have a power level increase coming with any new content. Let me explain. Now, in order to keep the current players happy for a short time, that 75% reduction will be like a shot of pure sugar into the player's bloodstream while we wait for any new content. Once it lands, we will be met with a power level increase, much like we saw for Warlords of New York, and will therefore make all the gear we just spent the last few months optimizing irrelevant. At this point, we would have to again farm for new gear on the new power levels, and that would keep us busy, meaning that the 75% reduction did its job of keeping us interested for the time between now and that new content drop and power level increase. Again, this is purely speculation, but it does have some truth to it if you think about it and how many games have used this mechanic in the past. Okay, moving on, and yesterday we got our first look at a new PvP BR survival game called The Day Before, and this thing looks like it was ripped straight out of the original Division game, which means it is oozing with potential. Now, I will leave a link to the full trailer in the video description, and I encourage you to go give it a view, and it's only about 5 minutes, but if you have ever played survival, you will see incredible similarities between the two games. It seems to be in New York at Christmas time, and the world has experienced a viral outbreak that has killed off most of the population and turned many of those survivors into zombies. I know, I said the Z word again in a Division video, but this game starts off with zombies in the core gameplay loop, so it could work for them. Some of the aspects that I really latched onto in this trailer are the weather. I mean, the blizzard and the blinding lights as they reflect off the snow looks really well done. The management of resources like food for energy, liquids for hydration, and health. The game also uses what looks like a Tarkov-light inventory management system in terms of the scavenging and then placing those items into blocks in your inventory menus. There is also the PvP element, as other players are trying to get a hold of the same resources that you are looking for, and that leads to tense moments of action. There is gunplay, explosives, taking cover behind objects for protection, and many other movement elements that Division players should be accustomed to. Now, the X factor in this game are the Zeds themselves, and they replace the normal NPCs defending the landmarks that we would see in the survival game mode. Loud noises attract them to your location, such as gunfire, and I can see you needed to make critical choices such as, do I engage these other players in PvP knowing full well that if I do, I could have a whole horde of Zeds on my location in a very short time. The end game itself sounds like you make your way to this safe camp for refugees, and you hear that broadcast during the early portions of the trailer. And overall, The Day Before could be an interesting shot of adrenaline for fans of survival BR games. I will, however, say that the gameplay trailer seems to be heavily scripted and manicured to look fabulous. I would wait to pass final judgment on this one until you get to see actual live gameplay footage or something like that, as in maybe you get to play the beta for yourselves. Still, there are so many similarities to the Division survival game mode, a mode that I still can't believe the Division franchise didn't bring back for the Division 2. The weather, the scavenging, the resource management, and the environment all look super strong enough for me to look past the liberal use of Zeds. I mean, if the live gameplay is as strong as this trailer, I would definitely give this game a go myself. But let's wait and see before crowning this the next successor to the best game mode ever created for the Division franchise, Survival. Okay, to end this upload, as promised, I am going to answer some viewer questions, and in the future, if you have a question for me, you need to leave a comment on my video and begin your comment with #question, so I know that you want me to answer it live on one of my videos. So first question comes from Shannon Hall, and he writes, what do you think about Division 1 versus Division 2? Which is better? What do you like about both games? Well, Shannon, thanks so much for the question, and my answer for this one could have been the basis for a whole series of videos, but to answer you directly, I think 1 is a better game than 2. Now, in terms of technical innovations, etc., Division 2 has more going on under the hood than the original game, and in many regards, it is an improved version over 1. But you can have all the technical innovations you want to improve this and make this better. It really boils down to, is it enjoyable? And for me, that game is the original Division game. And to finish up my answer to you, what I loved about Division 1 was number 1, the environment, those replayable game modes like Survival and Underground, the incursions that only required 4 players versus 8, and the incredible Dark Zone pre-Rogue 2.0. Now, Division 2 has a better map system, and the open world is beautifully done. The raids, if you can find 7 other players, are cool, and the world design is more fleshed out. But in the end, Division 1 just checks off more boxes for me than Division 2. I also got a question from Bart Scott, and he asked, how can I get the Lady Death? Well, Bart, all you need to do is farm missions or zones that are SMG targeted loot, as the Lady Death is in the loot pool for exotics to drop anywhere. You can also complete the Shade Requisition weekly projects or the weekly legendary mission to get a chance of getting it to show up in the exotic cash you earn at the end. I would also recommend jumping into the Dark Zone when SMGs are targeted loot and farming it until you get it to drop, as those Dark Zone landmarks recycle quickly and it will give you a lot of chances to finally get your Lady Death. Alright, this is probably a good place to end this one, and again, if you have any questions for me that you want answered, possibly on a video, begin your comment with the hashtag question, and I will do my best to grab it and give you a shout out on the next video. If you haven't yet smashed that sub button for intensive Division content, please do so. And don't forget to ring the bell to never miss another upload notification from my YouTube channel. If you liked the video, rate it with a thumbs up, if not with a thumbs down. Links to support my content creation outside of YouTube include Patreon and Teespring, both in the video description below. I have started a limited stream schedule over on Twitch at twitch.tv/LtBuzzLitebeer. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter for all my latest thoughts concerning most things gaming related. Until the next one, this is Lieutenant Buzz Lightbeer, signing off.